preface this by saying that the law has been changed since a time a while ago when we met to now allow use of the county's permanent improvement fund for building improvements at the fairgrounds. I believe Senator Schurin helped accomplish that.
The letter I've provided with you today is kind of the balance of what needs to be done to the grandstand, so if you will, bring it up into good solid condition. And I did put them in order of necessity, I guess. And your item number one, under the grandstand, there's an area there that is really not exposed to the public. It's really a basement space, if you will. And unfortunately, some of the steel in that area is pretty heavily rotted out. And although it's probably our most critical item, that we need to make those repairs in that area for structural issues. It's not something that's going to be seen when we're all done. It's kind of the hidden skeleton of the grandstand. But that is our most important item. And that one, again, budget numbers, the engineering hasn't been done on these parts of the project yet, but just a budget number at this point is $85,000 for that repair to the structural system under the precast grandstands.
Don, is that a safety issue, would you say right now?
Not right now, but we have structural sections under there, steel beams that are more than halfway rotted through. So this is something that needs to be taken care of. If you've been out to the grandstands lately, there's a section that's kind of roped off, and we don't want people sitting there. It's because the beams have rolled out. And those, we're going to see more and more of that if we don't. And eventually, of course, if we don't get this taken care of in the near future, it can become a safety issue over time. And item number two is the seating and deck sealing. And that is just what it says. Our seats are the vintage seats. There have been a lot of bleacher seatings replaced, and we would take those off and put those back on. But the old stadium seating is more than served its country well, and it's really in a point where we don't want to put any more dollars into them because it's just throwing good dollars after bad. Also, included in that is when we lift the seats off, we have to seal the entire top of the grandstand. Again, the reason we've had the problems on the underside is because the grandstands is accepting water. And we have to find a way to stop that. We have a system that will do that. And that's our next obvious step. So again, the importance of ordering. We got to take the seats off to do this process, so there's no point in putting those old seats back on at this point. Again, at this point in the budgetary number, $363,000 for that item. And then next in line, I guess, is the structure when you look up underneath the grandstands, the trusses, the wood decking on the roof. That area there, again, is in need of painting and repair. The actual roof deck, the wood planking is actually in good shape. We've got a couple of pieces that I've seen in better time and need to be replaced, but all in all, it's in good shape. It needs a good coat of paint to maintain that condition. So in this number of $263,000, we've got the proper cleaning and refinishing and repairing that deck. One of the other things I didn't mention when I first started, one of the major concerns we had in the grandstand was the amount of water coming down the back wall. That's why a lot of this deterioration happened on the exterior brick. We went in ahead of this and already have added those roof drains that we needed to do and did the roof repair earlier this summer, and all that work has been completed at this time. And then the last item is the electrical, the lighting upgrades. Again, this is an energy conservation item, and there's a few code violations up there that need to be cleaned up. Again, this is a protected area, but while we're doing that, we want to take care of those, and that's a number of $26,950.
Yeah, many of that area has not been touched since 1928, and that's when it was built. And other areas was added, and that was a precast up to where it really gets bad, where the two structures are separated.
We have been working on trying to get this grandstand fixed for 4 years.
Yeah.
This is our 4th year now, I think. And I think it went on before that with other commissioners who have not been able to do that. The county about 2 years ago sold the county farm. And as part of that, I believed that we were going to do something for the agricultural community, which I had hoped we could make some improvements at the fairgrounds. The money when we sold the county farm went into the permanent improvement fund. And for those of you who may not know what the permanent improvement fund is, that's the fund that when property is sold must be put, that money has to be put into that account. And that account can only be used for improvement of county property. So you can't use it to fund general fund operations. That money that we sold from the farm, although we've used some of it, still primarily sits there in our permanent improvement fund. And I think our value in that is about 2.1 million, give or take. We have some commitments in some of our other buildings with some of our upgrades that we need to do, and I think that the board's committed to. However, the problem was we found out that because we own the building and lease it to the fairgrounds, that we were not able to use permanent improvement funds for fairground improvements. So we brought Senator Kirk Schuring into the fold, and he actually had Ohio state law changed, Ohio Revised Code, so that you now can use permanent improvement fund for fairground operations. That was all of the hoops the fair boards jumped through to get where we're at today. So where we stand today, at least in my opinion, is that the fairgrounds are in need of some capital improvements with the grandstand. The county sold the farm, and then the fair board went and changed the law so that that money could actually be used for that purpose. So I will tell my board, it's my hope that we can at least use part of that money, or some of that money, to be able to make some of the improvements at the fairgrounds.